Hi Shona, welcome back.
Hi Sharon.
We're going to be talking about forensic healing and past lives today. It's something that I've not interviewed any of my experts on before, and it's something that really intrigues me. I've had some past life experiences myself, and I think it's very, very important, whether you believe in past lives or whether it's just a metaphor that your brain is giving you at the time, it's still working on a trauma that's stuck in the body at some point that can actually help you heal. So I know that forensic healing does go into that, and you've got a protocol to help people sort of go into past lives. So can you talk about that, please?
Love to. Okay, well, we were just talking, before about belief systems and everything. So what I want to kind of share a little bit more about with the forensic healing is when we do a healing session with a client, is that we go in and what we do is we profile the client. Then we want to try and collect information, and during the collecting of information is we find out a profile ID age of the client, and once again it depends on the intention that we're working with, what we're working on. So the ID age, we go back from the current age that you are now, and we work out, get that biofeedback by muscle testing, kinesiology. I use my body now. I used to use the old muscle testing. I don't need to. I get that energy through my body. It's kind of like a bit of an elevator. It kind of gives me the indication I've got it right. And we find out the ID age. A lot of the time it will go back to your childhood, because we just said, that's where a lot of our, conditions and our beliefs and our experiences where things happen, okay? But what happens is then, as we're progressing through doing our collecting of information, and if there's other areas that we need to find out, it'll ask for another profile ID age again. And it may go back to that childhood, it may go back to a different age. I've had some that have gone back, what we call past life. And if you're not sure about that, we use the word genetic, but I use the past lives. And I actually had one of my clients is, I found out through going back, counted back from her age, and I went back through, from age of 5 down, I got to 0. So that to me was kind of like, okay, pregnancy, the mother's pregnant. I actually felt in myself, I said, I'm going to count off the months in the pregnancy. So I did first trimester, second trimester, and I got this energy thing through me, and I just went, oh my gosh, second trimester. So she resonated with that because she told me the story about, her mother was really, really sick during that period of the time, etc. Then I've gone back, say with another client, and I've actually found out that it's gone beyond and it's gone to past lives. And I've found, when we're talking past lives, as you said, there's things that kind of come up. You know how we also said, I feel like I've been here before, that old saying, I feel like I've been here, I've done deja vu, I feel like I've been doing this before type of thing. That's definitely going to be, that's something on that past life experience,
Or things that you're naturally good at and you don't know why you should be good at it, but you could have been a genius at it in a former life.
Absolutely, yes. So, we've got a protocol that we follow, and it's under the spirit module, and it's one of the healing pathways. It's called past life regression, and it's it's quite amazing that it's just a simple statement that we have the client listen to and get them to visualize and go back whilst they're quite relaxed on the table. And following this protocol, it gets them to address and feel that past life that arises within them, and they can see what they may have been doing. It kind of tells them to where do you think you are, what do you see, where are you, what are you wearing at this time, what do you feel is around you. And I've had a couple of them, which is quite interesting. And yeah, once again, it's amazing what we have, as you said, past lives have come through, and you've carried it through into this this life now, you know, what we experience now. Mm.
So could you give us an example that, from a client, without mentioning names obviously,
Okay.
of a past life experience and how that was affecting them in this life?
Okay, I'm just trying to bring up one of the clients. Actually was one of the live trainings when I was learning, and I'd never done this before, and it was brought up, so I just had to kind of go with the flow with it. And this person was, I think, experiencing in this life this abandonment, that, you know, anything that she was doing in this life that, you know, she felt abandoned, or in relationships, the relationships didn't last long. She would actually end up pushing people away because she didn't want to feel abandoned. She wanted to do that first before they abandoned her. So that was
which is very common in relationships.
Which is very common, yes. So when I did this past life regression, I found her going back, and she went back into this not medieval, it was more of Roman times, where she was a child on the street, a little boy. She actually ended up being a little boy, and that's the other thing is, you know, you don't have to be male, it could be female. She ended up being a little boy that was left abandoned because, you know, the mother and the father, they couldn't afford. So this little child was running around pinching food from shopping. This is what she was bringing up when she was visualising, you know, from what we would, you know, talking to her about as I'm trying to get her into this past life and get her to start to trigger and bring those visions up. And she saw herself, you know, scruffy feet, you know, dirt on the ground, you know, old carts and, you know, very old clay buildings or huts and stuff like that. And she felt herself being abandoned, that she was alone. And it was quite confronting for her because she was only young, same thing as probably about a 5 or 6 year old child, and trying to fend for herself out there. And that was when she came back, and when we brought her back through, you know, just the sheer understanding of what she experienced today through that past life, is understanding that. And then we did a healing on it, you know. She felt so much relief after that. She could not believe it. Yeah, it was truly amazing.
What I find amazing about that is you would never know that in this lifetime. It's something that you're carrying within the cells of your body know this, it's got the experience of this.
Yes.
And you don't consciously know that, so how do you address it? You can only address what you know,
yes.
You know, because your subconscious doesn't always reveal these things to you.
No.
But working this way, you can really, really get into the nitty-gritty
yes.
of things. And as we said before, whether somebody's got a belief about past lives or not, it doesn't really matter, because it's just the conscious, subconscious bringing a story to us for healing.
Yes.
So, but we wouldn't necessarily know that consciously. So it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. We both we know that we live 95% emotionally, you know, and so as we said, what we've brought through we'll use genetics for some people, but past lives for those of us that understand it or believe in it. You know, I always know, I know where I've come from. I've seen quite a lot of past lives of myself, you know, so I know I was, you know, in slavery. That sounds great. Slavery in times of chains and things like that. And I've kind of gotten through that, you know. Then I started seeing myself as, I've seen myself in like a high priestess kind of thing at past life. So that's kind of coming through. That's what I want, you know, to bring that through into this life type of thing. And yeah, when you see people that, you know, don't quite understand what their life is today, and what it's a sum of today is, from their past lives and or genetically. It's amazing.
Yeah, so it would be very good for people who maybe have something going on in their body and they can't find out what's going on with them. And it could be, like, medicine hasn't got that at this point, but
Yes.
it's actually in the body, the cells, it's stuck in the subconscious mind.
Yes.
And this investigative, I can never say that word. Investigative work really gets to the point of it.
Yes, yeah. I did another healing on a girl just recently, and the same thing. We went back into her past life, and it was an illness that she had in a past life, and she couldn't kind of get it into today. She's lying there on the table. She wasn't sure. It wasn't until we got to the end of the session, and she kind of went, "Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's right. She said something about throat problems, and and she brought up, she had emotional issues attached there, but she brought up some illness. She brought up something about her throat, and as I said, it was her past life. Said, oh, there was some illness that you experienced in your past life. And it's really funny, when she got to my place, within a couple of minutes her being there, I started getting a really gruffy throat. I said to her, oh my gosh, my throat's gone gruffy. Listen to me, I was coughing, and I connected to her energy. And as we've gone through the healing, I realised what it was connected to, and I said, well, this is to do with your throat things. And as I said, we picked it up as a past life thing, which I didn't think would come up. But she said, oh, well, I've always suffered with some throat problem all of my life. And I said, well, and she found she couldn't also talk about certain things that were going on in her life at the moment now. And I said, well, there must have been an illness that was being carried in that area of your body. And you're right, maybe past life they didn't have anything for her to be able to cope with it back then. She still carried it through to today. And something as simple as that. She left because that's what she said. She was choking. She found she was choking, that she just couldn't breathe properly through it. So by the time we finished the session, she said that area had opened up. She felt this release happening in her throat, and so it was just a past life issue, and she was elated with that. That was amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I've had a quick thing myself, and I'd forgotten about it for years. But I used to I've always suffered anxiety, but when I was younger I used to get this big rash here, and it would be all up my throat, and it would be my face. Like whenever I was anxious, I'd be going bright red and blotchy. And I had a past life where I was a witch and I was hung. And it was just really interesting because I cleared that, and then suddenly, I never to this day have had that again.
Oh, there you go.
It's amazing how it gets stuck in your body.
It does, yes. Yeah.
So, if anyone wants to have a session with you on their past life, where would they be able to find you?
Okay, well, you can find me on Shona Soul, Shona Soul SynergyHealing.com. That's my website. Facebook, same thing, Shona Soul Synergy Healing. Just put Shona in. There's not a lot of Shonas around there. And that's where you can find me. I'm located on the Mid-North Coast Port Quarry. I do distant healings and Skype healings and phone healings, so that's easy. I love hands-on, but I can do either. They're just as powerful anyway. So.
And actually, I was in the UK when we first had our session, and you were obviously in Australia.
Yes, that was great. That was such a blast doing that. That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because you were blown away. You're like, what is forensic healing? And you were there, and I'm here, and I'm doing my little stuff in the background, and you're going, oh my gosh, this isn't it. So it was, it worked. Yes, it was good.
Yeah, and it was so powerful, even though we were on the other side
Other
as
side,
well.
yeah, it's great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.